Detective Comics 1056. Mariko Tamaki writing with Amanke Nahulpin on the art. This is what, part 10 of the tower?
Yeah, because there's 2 left. So yeah.
That's it. Yeah, the math checks out. I concur. It really feels like everything's falling apart, doesn't it? It feels like Huntress is actually kind of running around like John McClane a little bit in this issue, trying to find the others. Steph's doing what she's doing. Nightwing's at the mercy of Scarecrow, who ultimately tries to throw him out the window, which leads to our big ending, our big saving the day moment. So, yeah, how did you feel about this one?
So I'm starting to feel like the first half. This is like we talk about sometimes how they don't know how to end stories. We get to the third act and stuff. Kind of. I'm starting to feel that with this, and this could still pull it out. We still have 2 issues left. Just the sudden appearance of Scarecrow still doesn't sit with me. And now it's a Scarecrow villain story. And I know that we had to do that with Dr. Ware taking a swan dive to the pavement, and with Psycho Pirate, losing control. But I just almost feel like having Scarecrow there is a bit redundant when you have all of these other, Tamaki created villains that we've dealt with the whole time.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how to feel about Scarecrow in the story either. I'm kind of just waiting to see what they do in the last 2 issues to see if it kind of justifies his presence. Typically, everything with the back characters themselves, I'm really enjoying though. Huntress fighting Mr. Freeze and then having like her, because there's that moment where she holds the freeze gun and she's looking out the window, and it does feel like John McClane looking down at the police at the bottom of Nakatomi. It has that vibe to it, and I kind of really dig that.
Yeah, it has really good moments. It's just kind of like it feels like, I don't want to say filler because it's not. Like we knew this was going to be a 12-issue story, but I just some of it, like Scarecrow just showing up, moves a little bit too fast. Not that I needed it to stop and take a break and explain Scarecrow, but like, kind of, why is he back in his gear again? After Fear State, like, I just don't know.
Yeah, we deal with some other things in the issue though. Harley does reveal to be really Harley.
That's the other thing that bothers me.
Why?
There's kind of no reason. Just like, okay, well, she's undercover, but she's pretending to be her. Like, it's just a little bit overly convoluted. Especially if they put Huntress in there. So is she running her own thing? Is this Harley doing her own thing? She seems to be working with Babs. So like, it felt. I almost would have preferred it to be someone that thinks they're Harley, rather than Harley.
I don't have any negative feelings on it because it was clearly implied. Like, they built this up. This is not a surprise that it's really Harley. This was just a confirmation. Like, they hinted at it in the last few issues.
No, I know. I admit it's just a story point I don't like. It's overly just there. But it's neither here.
I mean, when they introduced the idea, I liked the idea. So I feel no differently now that they've actually revealed it. You have Huntress running around, almost getting stabbed again, getting really upset about it. Harley's running by in the background as Huntress is fighting this bad guy, and she's running into the comms room basically to shut down all the tower's defenses so that the other Bat family members can get in. So you have Cass and Batwoman outside waiting to come in. Tim comes in as well. So a lot of action stuff sort of converging towards the end of the issue, but no one is where Nightwing is. No one's up where Scarecrow is about to push Nightwing out a window. Scarecrow is on the phone to the mayor, and there's like nothing they can do. They're all trying to get to Nightwing to save him. Nightwing gets thrown out the window. Batwoman swoops in with the grapple, does grab Nightwing by the rope that's got him sort of tied up, but then the rope snaps. Nightwing falls, but the big ending is that the Batwing is coming in. You see it in the background, and the big full page is Batman jumping out to grab him. So Batman's just arrived back in the city in time to save Nightwing. The actual cliffhanger, though, is that the book end of this story is Psycho Pirate talking to Nakano's wife, and her kind of like just having like this really weird, like, honest conversation with him about how she's always been scared and she's always looked for danger and fear. And Psycho Pirate's explaining that he was the one making everyone feel better. The mask like helps him amplify. The tower was even designed to sort of like have his power travel through the building in an easier way. But Anna Volshin shows up at the end, and there's a gunshot with Blam, and that's a cliffhanger. So who is she shot? I mean, would they let Tamaki kill off Psycho Pirate? I don't know. If they have no plans for him for a while, maybe they would.
Well, it made it seem, he also said in the last issue, or maybe it was this issue, they kind of run together at this point, because I read these so early in the week, that dealing with this is more preferable than what he was dealing with. So I'm wondering if this is him getting away from the darkness, because he was pretty instrumental in the Infinite Frontier stuff before popping back up here. So maybe this is the way of him clearing, them clearing the DC board, if you will.
Yeah, so she could have shot Psycho Pirate. She could have shot Nakano's wife, which would be a dark turn for Nakano's character at this point, if that's the case.
I mean, it could be someone shooting Anna Volshin.
That's the third option. Yeah, is that someone's like shot her from behind? Not a back character, obviously, because they don't do that. But well, maybe Jason. Maybe Jason's showed up.
Yeah.
But even he's not doing that right now. But
he would throw his crowbar first.
Yes. But yeah, it could be another inmate or something shooting her from behind. That's possible, because it's just the word Blam with the blood spatter, but it implies, of course, that someone has been hit.
It also implies throughout this issue that Nakano's wife has some deep, I would say deeper seated issues than just her fear. So I'm wondering if there is a violent past somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's her, but this is something that might awaken that. But she seems, because up to this point, we've kind of just seen her as this kind of shell, and her being there kind of wanting help for certain things. And I don't know, maybe this, her presence of being a Psycho Pirate unlocked something that she thought she had locked away.
And it's also possible, of course, that the gunshot's not a kill shot. Like, it may just, like, we could start the next issue and Psycho Pirate's been shot in the shoulder. Like, it's possible.
Shot in the knee. And he's just like, just pull me out of my misery.
Oh, shot in the knee, that's perfect. That means you'll be hobbling like a pirate.
Uh-huh. There you go.
He's actually a pirate now.
Yeah.
The issue does start with a flashback to Nakano's wife basically doing an interview with Deb Donovan and getting a headache and like sort of speaking nonsense, and Deb kind of leaves and like calls her editor or whoever and says, "No, I told you this was a bad idea. The woman's a mess. Leave her alone. Leave the poor woman alone." And I think that was a really neat trick into sort of making her I mean, not that she's been unsympathetic before, but this was just like, we're going to start this issue with making us sympathize with her,
right,
and making her feel like she. Because we've seen like Nakano be with her and her be kind of like shut off and like sad and all that, but I felt like this issue did a good job of bookending with, okay, here's an outside perspective of a character that we've gotten to know saying, nah, like, I'm a reporter who hunts down the story, I could be seen as ruthless, and I'm saying, no, leave her alone, just give her peace. And
we've seen how much of a badass that Donovan is, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that she's like here, like, she's taking a stand, almost as if to protect her, because that's what she needs.
It's more, because obviously I'm not saying you shouldn't have Nakano caring about his wife, but like this is more effective than that, because Nakano caring about his wife, it feels like, oh, she's a love interest who could be fridged for his benefit. It's a typical character dynamic where you have someone who cares about someone else, so that there's leverage over them when shit goes down, that kind of thing.
Right.
By having Deb say something like this, it's like corroboration that makes us go, oh no, we should sympathize for her in some way, because she is going through a lot, and maybe they'll do something interesting with her by the end of this story.
Yeah, I definitely feel like she's coming out of that shell, whether for good or for bad, and because it also, she's hung up on all the stuff that Nakano has been through since he's been mayor, and it's almost as if that's kind of driving her more towards whatever her issues are. So but this is what I'm talking about, where like there's parts of this that I really, really enjoy, and then there's other parts that it's like a roller coaster. It's very up and down, but it's still worth the ride.
I'm enjoying it more than you are, because I mean, I agree, Scarecrow's inclusions feels a little bit random right now, and I don't really feel like I need it, but everything else I'm enjoying, kind of the thrill ride that it is, and everything it's sort of building to.
I do like how Tamaki is moving the pieces ever so slightly with each issue. Because now you have like the party crashers who are all in Joker makeup, right? It seems like they're just mercenaries, that whoever has the most money, that's who they ally with. And so now they're allied with Scarecrow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really dark, because when Harley jumps in to save Meridian, it's like they're about to rape her. Like that's clearly the implication of the scene, is that they're going to, as they quote unquote have some fun before they take her to Scarecrow, and then Harley comes in and saves the day with her big hammer, as she does.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so how Tamaki's moving all these pieces, and it's very commendable. Like, there's very much a plan, and I still love the how Oracle is, she's quarterbacking this from the beginning, and then when Batman shows up, and she's like, and there's all the expletives,
Like, Joe, I love about that is that you have Dick falling to his death. He's the one in peril, and you have Batwoman. Like, everyone's trying to get to him. Batwoman gets the closest and almost saves him, but then the rope snaps anyway.
Yeah.
The fact that we were cutting to panels of Babs reacting and saying, "Oh God," and being scared, it makes sense because she's the one who cares most about Dick because they have a personal relationship.
Right.
So it's actually kind of this relief she feels when Batman grabs Dick in the Batwing at the end. Her saying effing hell in relief was actually quite funny. And it was like a relief for the audience to sort of like, oh, Dick's okay. And obviously we all knew Dick was going to be fine, but it's storytelling.
But at the same time, it's this, they're a little bit in too over their heads, and it's gotten out of their control. And here comes Batman to relieve all of that.
I did say last week when we talked about Batman, the book, and it kind of implied that he might be popping back in towards the end of this. I didn't really like the idea of Batman coming in to like him needing to be there to fix it. And I still don't. Like, I kind of wish it did just play out and let the Bat family deal with it on their own. But I can't deny the moment's well done.
Yeah, and I don't feel like he's the missing piece. I feel like he's just more chaos going on in there. I feel like he's not just going to save the day just because he's Batman. This is still going to be a team effort.
Oh, sure, yeah. We'll see how they play that next issue.
Yeah, they just have their actual team captain now, to help guide the way. But yeah, I mean, again, they didn't even account. Maybe this is part of Tamaki's storytelling, is like Scarecrow was the piece they didn't even account for, and that's what led everything to go to shit. Now Batman's here, which, we can do whatever and clean up all of that through that. So, it could work its way out. There's still 2 issues left.
And nothing would thrill me more if Batman just sort of like lets them take the lead and says, okay, what's the mission? What are we doing here? Where do you need me? And just follows their orders effectively. That would actually please me if they did that. If they don't, it won't piss me off, but it would be a nice sentiment to go on. Art's really solid. New Hoping, doing fun stuff. Kind of, obviously it's very similar to the last issue, which they also did. I particularly like the last page, the dark moody room that Psycho Pirate and the Cano's wife are in. You've got that, the door opening with Anna Volshin's coming in, so you get the red light going across the wife's face. Just details like that are really good. Nice mix of color palettes depending if we're in a moody room, outside with a night city lights and all that stuff. So it's been good stuff. It's good. All right, so we'll go to the backup then, which we're still in no man's land with our character.
Yep.
And he is leading Croc and his little team. They're going to steal the food back off some thugs that have stolen basically the emergency supplies that have been dropped into Gotham for the civilians, and they're going to steal them back. So there's a bit of a fight. They take the food. They take it to what's her face? Leslie Tompkins. I have to think about it. And Leslie's like, I'm a little conflicted about where you're getting this stuff from. I really don't like the Crocs here, but my patients are hungry and we don't have a lot of options right now. So, let's do it. But our main character says, okay, we're running out of places to look for food, and she leads her to Helena. Right, so we get Huntress in this, and Huntress says, hey, there's a spot here where you can maybe go steal some food from the train yards or whatever. And he takes his little team down to this area to find these potential supplies. But when they get there, it's actually a trap, and Huntress is waiting for them, and so is Batman. And we effectively get finally, like, now, part 10 of this 12-part story, we get him facing off with Batman and sort of saying what he thinks of Batman to his face. And Batman, at first, like, he's not set this up knowing who it is. He's kind of like here to like stop this gang of thugs who are going around and stealing stuff. But when he realizes it's him, he says, "Oh, stand down. This is the person I failed to save." and he admits that to him and says, "Look, as long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not stealing from people who need things, we'll let this pass. But when this is all over, this is done." And of course, the kid accuses him of working with child soldiers. I've seen them; they've attacked me, and things like that. So
he had his kid army basically there, which I thought was a great visual of them standing there with their spears. Very post-apocalyptic vibes.
Yeah, I suppose in a lot of ways, wherever we end with this, at least right now, we're getting this idea of like, it's what he says here is that we are Gotham, we're the ones that Gotham forgets, and that even to Batman, there's people who fall through the cracks because even he can't like take care of everyone. He's
proof of that, right? Like, despite Bruce's best efforts to try to take care of this kid, he got lost in the system, and I love that this kid does not hesitate when Batman shows up, and he just wallops him with his stick. It is just showing that how he's grown from being completely terrified of Batman to he's in survival mode.
He's got a very strong moral stance as well. He's very specific about not hurting people and only taking from those who are bad and giving to people in need. This is not a villain, right? We're at a point now where he is not a villain by any means. And that's kind of interesting to sort of see the dynamic of. I will say, obviously, the art typically with this has been very good. But I will say there is a couple of panels here with some weird proportions going on. The panel, or the page where... So Batman shows up, and then the page after that, the panel at the bottom, where it's Batman and Huntress in the panel, and Batman says, "Get ready." There's a weird,
He's so bulky.
Yeah, there's like a weird bulkiness. It makes his head look tiny. There's something weird going on there with the proportions, but I feel bad because typically speaking, the art is very nice to look at, and it's got wonderful inks and the color schemes.
I'm almost though wondering if it's Blanco doing a little bit of an homage to the Batman of that era.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because you look at his Batman throughout, and he's bulky. Like, he definitely looks like a bodybuilder version of Batman compared to what we've seen Batman before, which is more. I wonder if we would go back and look, there'd be these subtle changes through time. But I don't know.
Very, very possibly. It is interesting seeing Huntress in an old school outfit as well. Like, obviously having fun with some of that stuff.
Right.
So again, like I'm curious if they ever get because maybe that's the whole point of this is that he's unnamed because he's just meant to represent a lot of people, so he's never going to get a name. Because I think early on we were like, oh, who's it going to turn out to be? And I'm not convinced there's going to be a.
No, once they threw him off of a bridge, I was kind of like, oh no, he is a representative of the idea of Gotham almost, and now he's the forgotten of Gotham. And I do like how this is a story on how kind of, despite Batman's best efforts, he can't save everybody, and that this kid's asked how to figure it out for himself. So, but yeah, it's still the highlight. I feel like as good as the Tower has been, I really look forward to this one every week.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll rate the main story from you, Matt.
Main story 7.5.
7.5, and the backup
8.
Yeah. I'm happy to go with a nice solid 8 on the main story. And I'll probably say a solid 8 on the backup as well. So Detective keeping strong as it has been for quite some time. So cool.